Coming up on today's episode of Airborne Unlimited, Oscar Mayer introduces the WienerDrone. Deadline looming for FAA GA ADS-B rebate program. Elwell appointed FAA Deputy Administrator. Hello, I'm Laura Hudson. It's June 30th and this is Airborne Unlimited. Remember when you were a kid, maybe just last week, and it was really cool when the Oscar Mayer Wienermobile would come to town? Well, the venerable Wienermobile is no longer the only promotional vehicle used by the iconic brand. First came the WienerMini and WienerRover, and now say hello to the WienerDrone. This unique vehicle will set off on a journey to no better place than Weiner, Arkansas, for the ultimate 4th of July celebration. As the most iconic brand, we're going where other hot dogs can't. We're committed to getting our new hot dog in everyone's hands and going to great lengths to do this. We knew this was a job for more than just our existing Wienermobile, said head of marketing at Oscar Mayer, Greg Guidotti. The new WienerDrone is fully equipped and specifically built to deliver Oscar Mayer hot dogs. The WienerDrone is the first unmanned hot dog carrying aircraft designed for remote location delivery. The Wiener fleet expansion shows Oscar Mayer is going to great lengths for the love of hot dogs. If you've been considering taking advantage of the $500 rebate being offered by the FAA for ADS-B compliance, you don't have a lot of time left to reserve your rebate. The deadline to make that application is September 18, 2017. The FAA is offering a $500 rebate to help owners of less expensive GA aircraft equip with the required avionics. Starting January 1, 2020, you must be equipped with ADS-B out to fly in most controlled airspace. The program was supposed to run for 1 year from September 19, 2016, or until all 20,000 rebates have been claimed. Eligible aircraft are defined as U.S. registered fixed-wing single-engine piston aircraft whose operation requires an onboard pilot, first registered before January 1, 2016. The rebate can be used towards the purchase and installation of avionics that are certified to FAA TSOs and meet the program rules. Surprisingly, the FAA says there are still more than 13,000 rebates waiting to be claimed. After the break, there's a new FAA Deputy Administrator.
There's a difference between charting a steady course and pushing for the ceiling. And for nearly a century, Hartzell Propeller has been defining that difference. It's in our passion for engineering and research and our dedication to testing the limits of performance. We are built on honor. We are Hartzell Propeller.
The Bristol Light Sport aircraft is what you are looking for. The Bristol is wider than a Cirrus, faster than a Skyhawk, offers more storage than a Husky, and comes standard with Garmin avionics. So what are you waiting for? Visit Bristol.com to find out how you can get into a Bristol today.
Welcome back. Dan Elwell was sworn in this week as FAA Deputy Administrator. Elwell is the second highest ranking official at the agency responsible for ensuring aviation safety and air traffic control services for the nation. Dan's insight and experience will serve the FAA and public well. He has a strong background as a military and civilian pilot, as well as holding key leadership positions within the aerospace industry, said FAA Administrator Michael Huerta. Elwell previously served as FAA Assistant Administrator for Policy Planning and Environment from 2006 to 2008. Most recently, he has been serving as the Senior Advisor on Aviation to U.S. Secretary of Transportation Elaine L. Chao. Before returning to public service, Elwell was President and Managing Partner of Elwell & Associates, an aviation consulting firm. Elwell also was Senior Vice President for Safety, Security, and Operations at Airlines for America and Vice President at the Aerospace Industries Association. Elwell graduated from the United States Air Force Academy. It's Friday, and that means it's time for A&N CEO and Editor-in-Chief Jim Campbell to check in with his weekly Barnstorming commentary. Aviation has grown increasingly fragmented and disenfranchised, and no matter how dire the threat, no one cares about the future of alternate aspects of aviation until their own is directly threatened. Which is a foolish attitude. Here's why. Here's this week's Barnstorming.
Thanks, Laura, and hi, folks. As you know, we've done a lot of drone coverage. It's part of all different kinds of coverage. It's as much as we do in any other area. It's particularly exciting right now because it is the big thing. And one of the reasons we give it such emphasis at this stage of the game is that drone technology and the progress they're making in materials and guidance and propulsion and manufacturing are all technologies that are, and should continue to affect the rest of aviation in a great way. If you really want that $50,000 172, the pioneering technologies that are involved in the unmanned community could conceivably bring it to you, even though that new 172 may be electric, or fiberglass, or other composites, or a number of other things. And boy, we'll have an interesting guidance system. Get in, tell it where to go. Or for that matter, the 172 of the future may look an awful lot like a multicopter. Who knows? It's exciting stuff. But a number of legislators are trying to throw the baby out with the bathwater. They want to set it up so that every Tom, Dick, and Harry, or in this case, city, municipality, village, state, what have you, can make up their own rules. Now imagine you're a commercial drone operator from Jacksonville, Florida, and you want to go over to Fleming Island, or Green Cove Springs, or St. Augustine, or what have you. And there's a different set of rules in every city. And oh yeah, there's state rules on top of that. The fact of the matter is this: most of these municipalities can't spell UAV. Most of these municipalities don't have a clue as to what really is involved in commercial and proper and legal usage of unmanned vehicles. But they have no problem making rules. And oh yeah, they have no problem charging you for those rules. I want a $50 fee to fly here. I want $5 for this. I want $10 for that. And they're going to nickel and dime you into obsolescence. It's ridiculous, it's scary, but most important, it is an effort to break down federal preemption in a way that can have an effect on the rest of aviation. Okay, they get away with these drone rules. What's going to happen when they want to go after the helicopters? When they want to legislate the fact that they don't want aerobatics done over certain cities? When they don't want ultralights to fly? When they don't want your airplane to fly after 8 p.m. because it might disturb somebody's baby 3 miles away? Or 30 miles away. It's ridiculous, it's bizarre, and it comes down to one point. You may not think you have a dog in this fight. You fly 172, what do you got to do with unmanned? Folks, what affects one of us can eventually affect us all. If we don't join together, work together, cooperate, coordinate, we will find that the problems we ignored in our brothers in the unmanned community, or our brothers in the helicopter community, or our brothers in the soaring community, or our brothers in the BizAv community, what have you, may become our problems the next day. Beware. The minute they get their nose out of the tent, the camel is not retracting. In no uncertain terms, ignorance of the federal rules, the allowance to build upwards of thousands of different sets of regulations all over the country will be the death of an industry and potentially the death of the rest of aviation. We need to support all of our brothers and sisters in flight, no matter what or how they fly. For the Aero-News Network, Airborne and Aero-TV, I'm Jim Campbell. We got to cooperate, folks.
After these messages, an SAIB warns of cracked mufflers.
Sandia introduces the new SAI 340 Quattro TSO'd airspeed, attitude, altitude, and slip. With integral backup battery, safety never looked so good. See it now at www.sandia.aero.
Welcome back. With so much news coming out of the aviation industry, we're summarizing some other interesting stories in a brief segment we call Around the Patch. The FAA has issued a special airworthiness information bulletin following several reports of cracked mufflers on Aviat Aircraft Inc. models A1, A1A, A1B, and A1C-180 airplanes. According to the SAIB in February, the FAA was notified of several incidents where low flight hour mufflers had cracked where the muffler can is joined to the overboard tube beneath the heat shroud. On June 19, 2017, Guy St. Moore pled guilty to operating an aircraft with an illegally modified fuel system. St. Moore was previously indicted on these charges in January 2017. St. Moore, an FAA certificated airline transport pilot, modified an aircraft's fuel system and operated the aircraft without FAA authorization. With the intent to fly to Paraguay, the pilot was busted after a tip involving the DEA. The House Armed Services Committee is calling for the replacement of 33 FA-18 Plus Hornets from the Reagan era. The Navy Reserve has 33 of the aging aircraft that are normally used in training scenarios to play the bad guy. They are painted to look like Russian MiG fighters, but they are also supposed to be ready to be pressed into service as replacement jets. The fabric on an airship covering the U.S. Open in Erin, Wisconsin earlier this month tore before the aircraft went down, the pilot told the NTSB. In its preliminary report, the board said that on June 15, 2017, at 11:15 Central Daylight Time, Gefaflug AS-105GD thermal airship collided with terrain following an in-flight envelope panel failure. The commercial pilot was seriously injured and the thermal airship was destroyed. United Airlines has been granted an injunction by a Canadian court to prevent the use of trademarks, copyright, and other intellectual property on a website dedicated to complaints against the airline. Jeremy Cooperstock, an engineering professor at McGill University in Montreal, set up the Untied.com website 20 years ago after being dissatisfied with what he called a form letter he received in response to one of his own complaints. Well, that's it for today's trip around the patch. Now let's move on to the rest of the news. Uncle Sam may have pulled a fast one on us when the St. Mary's Municipal Airport closes for good next month. It will leave Camden County, Georgia without an airport and no prospects for another anytime soon. St. Mary's Airport has been targeted for closure since September 11, 2001, due to its proximity to the Kings Bay submarine base. Governmental entities came to an agreement to shutter the airport, closing it permanently July 14th, though the Navy tells pilots they would have until September 8th to remove their airplanes. The Georgia Department of Transportation is looking for a new location for an airport in Camden County, according to Camden County Commission Chairman Jimmy Starline. But the new airport will need a sponsor to accept responsibility for airport management, as well as the property in the airport safety zones, and that sponsorship comes with a $3 million price tag. Starline said it was a big mistake for the city to agree to close the airport without having a new one ready to go. I don't think we should have gone one day without an airport, he said. Estimates are that Camden County will be without an airport for a minimum of 5 years. Well, that's our program for today. Remember that Airborne Unlimited is streamed daily Monday through Friday with additional breaking news bulletins for important stories that fall outside of our normal deadlines. If you're watching us on YouTube, please subscribe and do check us out on Facebook and Twitter. Get comprehensive, real-time, 24/7 coverage of the latest aviation and aerospace stories anytime at aero-news.net. Have a great weekend, and since we have July 4th falling on a Tuesday next week, and more important, to respect and honor all those who have kept us free, Airborne will be back on July 5th. Have a great 4th of July.